I've collected an embarrassingly amount of VR accessories over the years. I've used accessories that let you physically walk in video games, let you feel pain, and promise comfort and ease of use. Some of these products are great, and some maybe not so much. Because impressive technology and something you'll actually use every week are two very different things. So today I'm going through the VR accessories I regret owning and why I stopped using them so you don't make the same mistake and let them collect dust like mine have. And starting with the most expensive accessory on this list, my VR treadmill. Now I know a VR treadmill sounds like the ultimate virtual reality accessory because instead of pushing a thumbstick to move through a game, you get to physically walk. You can physically turn, crouch, run, and even swim, all to explore worlds using your actual body. And this technically solves one of the biggest problems in VR. Your eyes believe that you're actually walking in a video game, while your body knows that's not quite the case. And that disconnect is usually what causes VR motion sickness. And these treadmills do help a lot with that. And the first time you do try a VR treadmill, it is very cool. There's a real novelty to physically moving through a virtual world. It feels futuristic and it looks amazing in videos. And it makes you hope that this is the future of VR. But then you have to use it again. And that's where the relationship starts to fail. Because one of the big problems is the size. This isn't something you can just fold up and slide under your bed. A VR treadmill needs a permanent area in your house. And unless you have a dedicated VR room, it starts to take up the whole room. And I even have a dedicated room and it was still taking up too much room. And not to mention there's a very small USB cable, so it's gotta be somewhat close to your gaming PC. And also they're really heavy and they can be tricky to set up. You need the correct shoes, you need to strap yourself into the harness, you gotta connect everything, calibrate it, launch the software, and then make sure the game you wanna play actually works. Oftentimes I was ready to start playing. I'd often lost the desire to actually play VR in the first place because I spent so much time trying to get it working. Because a lot of times I went to play my VR treadmill, I had a lot of troubleshooting issues. Some of this may be easy now as technology gets better, but I've been burnt too many times. And even when everything is working correctly, walking on a VR treadmill doesn't feel exactly like normal walking. You're kind of just sliding your feet awkwardly across a low friction surface while being supported by a harness. And when I say walking, you're actually running, because who walks in video games? And if you want my opinion, running sucks. If you don't like running on a normal treadmill or down the block, you're not going to enjoy running on a VR treadmill because it's way harder and sweatier. You can learn the movement that works best and some people become quite good at it, but there is definitely a learning curve. And while it adds more physical movement and can be good for weight loss, it can sometimes make controlling the game less precise than simply using the joystick. And that became one of the biggest issues for me. The treadmill made VR more immersive in theory, but it also made playing VR much more complicated and exhausting and sweaty. And there were so many additional steps between deciding to play a game and actually playing it. Eventually, I found myself dreading using the treadmill, even though I knew it could get me a ton of views online because all my treadmill videos went viral, but I couldn't do it. And I know there's plenty of people who really love them, but sadly, I just don't one of them. I don't necessarily think VR treadmills are a bad product. There are some really good ones coming out these days. I'd rather put that money towards a better headset or a gaming PC or more video games. Now, my next regret isn't one specific accessory. It's the mountain of Quest Headstraps I have accumulated over the years. If you've used a Quest headset, you know the default fabric strap sucks for comfort. And most people go on a mission to find something better. And I've tried a lot of them. I've tried the official Elite straps with batteries, third-party battery packs, rigid straps, halo straps, even strap mods. And I literally have a box of just Quest head straps. And this is only 50% of what I've had. The rest I've given away. And to be fair, almost all of them were better than the default fabric strap in some way, but that doesn't mean all of them were good. Like the official Elite strap is probably the best example. It looks clean and it integrates neatly with the headset, and it's officially made by Meta, so you'd think it would be the best. But the official options can be expensive for what ultimately is a pretty simple head strap. And comfort is incredibly personal as well. So for what works for me may not work for you. They can also make it hard to lie down or backwards while wearing the headset as well. But ultimately, I think the most important part of of a head strap by finding the right counterbalance, and usually that involves a battery at the back of the head strap. So just a quick pause for today's sponsor, and stick around because it really helps keep the channel going. As VR people, we're used to strapping on a headset and being transported to somewhere else. Well, this does the same thing, except you're not in a video game, you're in the sky. This tiny headset controls a drone, and it gives you a full 360 view like you're sitting in the cockpit. The Antigravity A1 is the first 8K 360 drone, and because of that, it films every direction all at once, in full 8K. So you don't have to frame everything perfectly while you're flying the drone, you just fly it, and then in post-production, you just adjust the field of view to wherever you want so you don't miss that perfect shot. So you could do some crazy trick shots if you want, or you can use the inbuilt settings to get like a top-down or an orbit effect, and however you film, you can always adjust it in post-production. And it uses this joystick to control the drone, and it's really interesting. You just kind of look and press the trigger in the direction you want to go. So as a avid VR user, it feels very intuitive, and I felt like I was able to pick all of this up very easily because I was just already familiar with how the hardware works. The headset itself is quite decent as well. It's got pancake lenses with micro OLED displays. It's also got IPD adjustments and a diopter adjustment, which I wish VR headsets had. It's such a cool experience watching it fly and then watching it film you and seeing the live feed through the headset. It's quite a trippy experience. Takeoff and landing is really easy. There's just like a button you hold down and it'll come back to home and land perfectly. And if you're in the US, Antigravity have a repair and return policy where you have a 15-day no questions asked return window. If you ever wanted to check out a drone and you're a VR enthusiast, this just feels like a natural way to do it. So thank you Antigravity for sponsoring this video. They also have a special deal for you if you use the link down below, and let's get back to the video. Now we all need to charge our Quest headset in some way, and magnetic charging docks sound like the perfect solution for VR. You finish playing, you place the headset and controllers neatly on the dock, and the next time you want to play, everything is fully charged and ready to go. But in my experience, the convenience doesn't always match up to reality. Some docks require everything to be positioned with surgical precision. The headset needs to sit at exactly the correct angle, and the charging contacts need to line up perfectly or it won't charge. Same thing with the controllers, you gotta line them up perfectly, otherwise it won't charge. And sometimes the charging light appears to come on, only to discover the next day that the headset wasn't actually charging at all. There's nothing more frustrating than realizing your headset is flat when you need it. Some docks also require special rechargeable batteries and replacement controller covers so that the metal contacts can connect with the dock. That means you're no longer using a universal cable or normal replacement batteries. You are now dependent on little components remaining together for the entire system to work. So if one of those batteries goes missing or they go flat or something, you can't really easily get a new one. And all these reasons is ultimately why I regret buying several of them. I found the majority of them to be quite fiddly and unreliable. Even the docks that use magnetic USB-C adapters to lock them on, I've tried a lot of them and struggled with all of them. Maybe I'm the problem, or I'm just a hater, I don't know. But while a normal charging cable is boring, it works, and that's why it's all I use now. I've just got a simple cheapy stand. I can clearly see that it's connected, and I can use the cable with other devices as well. I don't need to balance the headset at a particular angle or inspect 3 tiny little lights to see if it's working. And if the cable breaks, I can replace it without needing to find a compatible dock for a headset that may not be supported in a few years. Now, I have to admit, I have a vendetta against Silicone Accessories, particularly controller grips and facial covers. Now, they sound good on paper, and they can also give you cool colors, and they're inexpensive, they protect the controller from scratches, and they supposedly add more grip. And all of that sounds great. And the accessory market loves it, of course, because they're cheap to manufacture. But my biggest issue with silicone is that it repels sweat, not absorbs it. If you're playing an intense game like Beat Saber or Gorilla Tag or VR Fitness, that sweat is going to pool, which means you're going to get sweaty and slippery hands or face. Silicone also has other downsides. It can stretch and shift around, and over time, the controller grips can start feeling less secure temperature. And some designs can interfere with the buttons and the battery compartments or tracking areas if they aren't fitted correctly. And with controllers like the Quest 3, you can't see where those tracking rings are, so you don't know if it's covering it or not. I also don't particularly enjoy the texture of some silicone grips during longer sessions. Once your hands become warm, they can kind of feel sticky and they can collect dust and become surprisingly annoying to clean. And then you've just got something else you need to clean and take care of. Silicone grips can also just add extra bulk, particularly if you have small hands like I do. You may have bought the grip to make the controller feel more secure, only to make it more difficult to comfortably reach every button and use. So be wary of silicone accessories unless you like to collect your own sweat. Now the final accessory is probably the most technologically impressive thing on this list. It's also the one I've become uncomfortable using. Also, I was a bit hesitant talking about it in this video, but I want to be honest. And that's haptic vests that use electrical muscle stimulation. Because instead of primarily using vibration motors like a lot of haptic vests use, EMS vests use electrical pulses to produce physical sensations across different muscle areas. So when something happens inside a supported game, you don't just feel a controller vibrating or a vibration of a suit, you feel an actual simulated impact directly across your torso. And the first time you experience it, it is incredibly intense. Like, I literally fell on the floor, it was that intense. Because your body receives a physical sensation connected to what is happening in the game. And it hurts. I'm not faking it in those videos. But I need to be very careful and clear here. I'm not claiming these vests are inherently unsafe when it's used correctly. Most of these companies provide setup instructions, calibration controls, safety warnings, and ways to quickly stop the stimulation. But reading through those warnings made me seriously question whether this was something I wanted to continue to use purely for entertainment, especially when using it online, which is young people watch. The user guide for my vest says the product shouldn't be used by people under 18, people who are pregnant, people with pacemakers, metal implants, or other implantable electronic devices. It also advises people with illnesses or certain medical conditions to consult a doctor before use, and users are instructed to immediately stop using it if they experience symptoms, including dizziness, nausea, lightheadedness, impaired balance, loss of awareness, or involuntary movements. The guide also states that the long-term effects of chronic electrical stimulation are unknown. And this product is used near some pretty major internal organs. And something else to consider is that it hurts. And when your body is in physical pain, it reacts in ways you may not expect. Like when I first tried this thing, I had no control when I fell to the floor. Like, it was just an involuntary reaction. And while it is very immersive and kind of fun to feel actual pain in games, at some point I had to ask myself, do I actually need to feel this? And again, this doesn't mean the product is defective or that everyone using it is automatically putting themselves in danger. It just means my personal risk tolerance changed once I properly understood how the technology worked and read through all the precautions. And I think sometimes with a lot of this technology, we just don't know how it could affect us. And there will absolutely be people who are comfortable with this technology and carefully follow the instructions and love what it adds to their games. Because it is an incredibly interesting piece of hardware. And as a demonstration of where gaming haptics may be heading, it is fascinating. Personally, making VR slightly more realistic wasn't worth the anxiety I felt about putting my body through that. So in conclusion, after years of buying VR accessories, I've realized that the best accessories aren't necessarily the ones that add the most features. They're usually the ones that remove friction. And the accessories promising the biggest transformation often introduce additional setup time, additional software, additional objects, and permanently taking up space in your room. Because almost every accessory in this video was very exciting when I first tried it out, and the regret came several months later after I realized I was no longer using it. So I wanted to know if you've tried any of these accessories and what you think of them, and if there's any accessories that you really love and use regularly. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.